r/r credit, what accident happened in a sleepover that ruined the sleepover? When we were growing up, one of our close friends at the time had to wear diapers because of a car incident that left him totally incontinent. We knew about it and it was fine. I mean, it wasn't his fault some idiot left him with a disability. Our friend group was really close, so we were used to his accidents and had sleepovers all the time. Well, one night, something did not sit well with him because around 2 in the morning, we all woke up to an awful smell. Poor kid had absolutely unleashed everything in his body so bad that it spilled out onto my bed. We were all gauging and trying hard not to upset him over it, but it was just so bad. I think the combination of embarrassment and the sheer scale of the mess sent him over the edge though. He ran out to call his mom to come pick him up while the rest of us had to evacuate my room. My mom was passed out drunk by this point, so I had to gather my sheets and take them to the laundry room while my 3 other friends picked spots out in the living room to crash. I told him he was able to take a shower while he waited for his mom, but he was too upset and just waited outside in that horrid squalor. We didn't see him for a few days after that, but then everything went back to normal. We never brought it up at any other sleepovers, but I'm sure it was always on his mind. We drifted apart over the years, but I hope he's still doing well. Wasn't actual camping, but we went to a local trailer park during our summer gym course, for 8th-9th graders, and stayed there for 2 or 3 days. We all had to pair up with a few kids and bring tents. We had 5 people and a spare tent. We weren't sure if one kid could bring one, and it ended up being a saving grace. Day 1 everyone is good and happy. We had crammed 5 of us in a big tent and used the smaller second tent as storage for our stuff. Basically the order of kids was weird friend, random kid, me, new friend. Well, we all fell asleep but random kid, and at around midnight he threw up. Some of it hit my weird friend's sleeping bag and general area. He threw up on himself a bunch, but I got away unharmed. We all got out and notified the teachers. But the random kid had a trailer at the park and his parents were there, so he stayed with them at night from then on. After that we were even more cramped in the small tent. My son had trouble making friends when he was younger. He befriended a kid from school and invited him to a sleepover after having him over to play games a few times. I met the kid's grandmother and she seemed a bit worried, hesitant. I don't know. I assured her he'd be fine with us. I let the 2 of them stay in my trailer in the backyard to have the sleepover. About an hour goes by and my son comes into the house and goes to his room, alone. I asked what's wrong and if they got into a fight. He said no, but the kid's being a bit bossy. I dug a bit deeper and discovered the kid was in the trailer setting fires. I went out there immediately, and found him trying to hide a package of matches and a bunch of burned matches all over the mattress. Now I know why the grandmother was worried. Kid was a pyro. I took him straight home and told my son that he made a good effort to make friends, but some kids just don't make good friends. New kid moves to our school, invites me and a bunch of other random kids to his house in an attempt to make friends. I suspect his parents or a teacher suggested it, as now I look back he wasn't that enthusiastic about it. We were about 14 I think at the time. All 6 of us have to cram into this kid's tiny bedroom, the sort that fits a single bed against one wall, a TV and wardrobe against the other and a small corridor down the middle. There was barely enough space to sleep, but his mum said we had to spend the entire sleepover there, so we sorta had to pile up in our sleeping bags for an incredibly uncomfortable night. He barely spoke to any of us and he basically played Digimon on his PlayStation whilst we messed around to entertain ourselves. His mum bought us up a big plate of chips and nuggets, and for some reason we decided to shove the stuff we didn't eat through the cracks in the bare floorboards, as he didn't want his mum to see leftovers. This kid also had a younger brother, about 10, who was desperate to be involved and kept coming into the room and mimicking his older brother for some reason. Everything he did he copied to the point where it was kinda creepy. He then followed his older brother into the toilet and somehow pissed down his older brother's leg. This then resulted in a fight breaking out between the two and the kid's mum absolutely screaming at them and kicking them as they rolled round on the floor. Then she took the kid's light bulb and game controllers and demanded we all sleep. It was like 8 p.m. if I remember correctly. Bad experience. My friend and I went for a walk in the woods with his Jack Russell Terrier. Every time I was around his dog, my eyes would itch, so I figured I must have been mildly allergic to his dog. After about an hour in the woods, we made our way back to his house. We got inside, did the usual upstate New York check yourself for ticks, and sat down to play video games. Within about 5 minutes of me being in the house, my friend looks at me and says something along the lines of, "Dude, what is good with your eyes?" So I go into the bathroom and look. My eyes are almost swollen shut. It turns out that on our excursion I had touched poison ivy, and when we got to the house my eyes started itching from the dog and I rubbed my eyes. It was horrible. My dad picked me up immediately. Sleepover now ruined. Slept over at a friend's house around 10 years old and we shared a queen bed. Woke up in the middle of the night and the friend had pissed, found out after this was common for him, the bed and moved to the floor but failed to wake and tell me. I rolled to the spot and woke up because of the cold wetness on my side. I went to the washroom to wash up and the floor was soaking wet when I walked in the dark. I turned on the light to discover his drunk dad had pissed all over the floor. I couldn't get out of there fast enough in the morning. I don't know if it was an accident, but I had a sleepover at a friend's house where they had many pets and I developed a cough after that which my parents assumed were allergy. However, as an adult I'm pretty sure that was the first incident of my nervous cough. I have noticed that when traumatic or stressful things happen to me, I cough a lot. The truth is that I was petrified at sleeping over at my friend's house. Her mum wasn't very nice and we weren't allowed to sleep with the lights on, which was very important to me. My friend was also abusive to me and would often drag me around with an arm around my neck or beat me up if I told her no. She pretty much always asserted dominance over me and humiliated me every chance she got. At another point it was her turn to sleep over at my place. I woke up in the morning and she wasn't anywhere to be seen. My parent told me that she had woken them up at night and cried about wanting her mommy and they had driven her home. I remember feeling incredibly angry with her for doing that when she always mocked me for being weak. However, I had pulled my stuff together and endured the sleepover at her place and I was really disappointed she hadn't been willing to do the same for me. We were somewhere between 7 and 9 at the time. My two best friends, 11 at the time, and I have a sleepover at my house. We make porridge, basically ice cream with cereal, and watch a movie. We pass out with our porridge bowls and the 5 kittens we had in the house at the time eat our leftovers. We wake up to feces all over us and the couches we were on. My dad was furious/upset and made us hose everything off at 6 a.m. on my birthday as we all cried and gagged. Living in my parents' house, we had an unfinished basement, with a projector, surround sound system, some lawn chairs, and an obscene 15-foot projector screen. It was my dad's baby. If you've ever watched a big blockbuster movie, think Lawrence Extended Edition, on a 15-foot screen right in front of you, it's life-changing. Anyways, one time me and a friend were down there, a few drinks deep, stolen from my dad's liquor cabinet, and a small bowl of weed, stolen from his brother's stash. When he went upstairs to use the bathroom and I decided to play a prank. We had a computer plugged into the projector, that's how it worked, so I pulled up some good old-fashioned adult video. He comes back downstairs, glances over before sitting down and freezes like a deer in headlights. Standing there, visibly still a little woozy, eyes locked on this screen. I slowly lifted my arm, pointed him and start giggling a little and went, "Gotcha." He doesn't react. and stays staring at it for about 20 seconds, at which point I'm thinking this is weird, when he starts to settle down in his seat, looks at me for the first time since getting downstairs and goes, "You have any Asians?" Needless to say, after that, there was a distinct weirdness in the air and I immediately turned it off, and suggested that we went to bed.